So hello and welcome to the New Gig podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Hodgson, and today I'm delighted to be joined the CEO of Accace, Mihaela Pasek-Virlan. How are you doing, Mihaela? Are you doing well?
I'm doing great. It's summer and we have a lot of work, so I think what could be better, right? Thank you for the invite, Glenn, and good to speak to you. Good to see you.
Likewise, it's a perfect mix, a perfect storm of activities. So can we just go back to the beginning, rewind a little bit, and for you, Mihaela, to tell us a little bit about your background, your personal journey, first of all, and then we'll say a little bit about sort of Accace, what you're doing, and the problems that the company is solving.
Yes, that takes me back many years ago when I started to cooperate with Accace. So I'm a freelancer as well by profession. I'm a liberal profession. I'm an attorney, and I started my journey in this space in Romania. And this is where also I started the cooperation with Accace many years ago, and I've been since then living in about 3 countries in the region. I think at a certain point in time, I used to have 3 homes. So the future of work, and everything that you are dealing with, I think it's a very dear topic to me.
Yeah.
And as Accace, we go not so long ago. So I would say that we are still a young organization, or at least I'd like to think so. We started back in 2006. And we started as a boutique firm. So we were about 40 people in 2 countries, in Czech Republic and in Slovakia, with few people adding afterwards in Romania, in Hungary, and all of the countries around, right? But still, you knew everybody by name. Everybody was literally a phone call away or a visit away. So regardless of the country where we are in, we were able to put everybody in one room once per year, twice per year, 3 times per year, and to have a huge team building or a huge meeting. Now it's not that easy, right? So we have more than 800 professionals.
Yeah.
And with our business community, actually more than 2,500. And we are able to provide services in over 50 countries. So there is a massive size to it, at least to us, a small company starting in the Central Eastern Europe.
Yes.
And I'm still literally trying to comprehend what's going on, right, all around. And I think what we are trying to do generally, and the business that we are in, so basically professional services, accounting, payroll, tax, legal, since the very beginning, we were very close to our clients. So if we expanded because the client came to us and said, okay, I need this jurisdiction, I need your geography, I need the same approach. Come and help us. So that has been our mission since the beginning, to stay close to our clients and to help them. And we like to think that we are something like a one-stop shop.
Yes.
So if you come to us, you are able to focus on your business, on your core business, whatever that is, regardless of the industry. And then we are able to focus on our core business, which is basically keeping you compliant and taking care of the representation in front of authorities and everything in that space. So, I think that we stayed close to our mission since the very beginning, thanks to our clients and also thanks to our amazing colleagues.
Yeah.
Because without them, none of it would be possible. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you're delivering fantastic services. And you're a victim of your own success, I guess, that you've grown so quickly and you've grown so large in terms of an organization. And could you say a little bit, I mean, you mentioned there about accounting, payroll, and legal tax services. Could you say a little bit about what are the services that are most in demand at the moment in the markets that you're covering?
That's a great question, and I think it depends a lot on few factors, right? I would not say that we have seen in a certain year that there is a higher demand on accounting or payroll, right, or whatever of the. I think it depends a lot on few variables, and some of them they go around the seasonality, right? So end of the year, everything which comes to when it comes to tax compliance, personal income tax, closing of the year, financial statements, beginning of the year till April or March, April, May, depending on the jurisdiction, that's very high in demand. The rest of, when it comes to geography, I think this has also something to do. Because in mature markets, most of the clients, they are trying to either change providers or outsource. So this is where, like, when it comes to the demand, what am I trying to reach? Do I need a better service? I'm not satisfied with the quality, or the company does not have the right technology. And I think that during the summer, then we see a high demand in RFPs, mostly in payroll lately, I must say. So if I would be to pick one, I would say that payroll lately has been in higher demand. And for example, accounting, maybe 6-7 years ago, accounting was more in. Now payroll is more in. And other than that, I think that the services around consulting are a lot connected to the economical and social environment. So when there is a change in legislation, COVID was a big hit for everybody. And it has been a big hit for us because automatically for businesses being closed, we are in a volume. Like we depend on volumes of the clients. So if the clients, they don't have volumes, then automatically we don't have volumes as well. However, that to some extent has been compensated by the change in the legislation. So I think that consulting is always in need. States are always changing the legislation, and automatically there is a need of our service. So I would say it's very difficult to say generally what has been more in demand. I think that most of the services are trying to somehow complement throughout the year or throughout the years. There is a good thing happening lately, and I think this is also connected to something which is very dear to you and also very dear to us. When it comes to people are traveling all over the space, if I can call it like that,
everywhere. It's true.
And they need support. They don't know what to do, right? They say, okay, I quit my day-to-day job, I move to Spain or to Portugal, or I don't know, to Panama, depending on when everybody feels at home. And then they still want to provide the service that they are good at. So I think that has to do a lot of consulting and with creating the structure for them that will allow them to do what they do, but still being compliant with all the regulation when it comes to, social security, taxation, and so on and so forth.
And I think that's absolutely crucial, because one of the big issues and barriers that we find is this idea of compliance, understanding the local jurisdictions, all the administrative tax burdens that are placed on individuals. So I think being able to do that is a service that is growing all the time, and I think there's really exponential growth as we go forward, Mihaela, on this. And also looking at the fact of these services and support functions are very much needed. How much do you use sort of automation and machines? How much is still sort of manual processes within this?
Glenn, I think that's another great question, because we have been highly focused on technology since the very beginning. I think I would dare to say, of course, some might agree, some might disagree, that we have been a trendsetter in the region and in the service that we provide when it comes to technology. So many years ago, when people were still using manual bookkeeping, literally taking the invoice and typing in all the items on the invoice, we were using automating scanning, OCR. And the pre-posting was done and still is in some of our entities done automatically. And then the people were just checking and doing the final corrections. So that's in the accounting space. In the payroll space as well, the communication with the clients, the integration between their human resource management systems and the payroll engines that we use, that's something that we have been active in already for many years. And also we have a lot of internal tools when it comes to robotic process automation, when it comes to even time attendance, both positive and negative in a lot of our jurisdictions. So technology is very dear to us.
Yeah.
But absolutely, it's a disruptive world at the moment, right? It's a ever-changing environment, because if before people loved ERPs, they loved robust system on premise, right? Now everything is in the cloud, low code or no code, and everything is based on AI. So we are also trying to cope with it, and we are trying to find ways how to deal with it. And I think that we are lucky to have been in the space before, and we are trying to support as much as we can our clients, and also to discuss with the state institution, with authorities as much as we can, because the business that we are in is a very regulated business. So there are a lot of startups which are popping up. But I think in the end, it's extremely important who signs the statement to the authority, right?
Yeah.
Who takes the responsibility, because the clients, in the moment when they outsource to a professional, they want to be sure that it's done perfectly. And I think if not, then you pay taxes and you pay penalties. And it's not an easy thing to do, right?
Not at all. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I noticed about Accace and how you work, because I must admit, a lot of the medium-sized, even large companies that I've come in contact with, I've just been very surprised how much manual labor, how many manual processes still exist. And of course, you're kind of digital first. This is in your DNA. It's ingrained in your products and services. So yeah, it really must give you an advantage in the current environment. The current changes that are ongoing must be must put Accace in a very a good position.
Absolutely does in many aspects, but I always like to challenge the status quo, and not only myself but also all the other colleagues that I have on senior management level.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of other companies which were great in their space. I will not name names. Some of them coming also from your region.
Okay.
Were the best. They were the best. They were at the top of their game in their industry that they were, and they were not paying attention to what's happening. So I think that there can come a startup which is supported by one of the mega tech companies, and they might disrupt everything. So I think that yes, we are lucky. And I think a lot of the companies who are in our region are lucky from this point of view, because we depend a lot on the state and what's happening with the authorities and the legislation. But at the same time, we cannot overlook. And I think that today's world has proven that you never know. And I think that you should be prepared for everything. So yes, we are lucky. Yes, we have a lot of technology. But at the same time, we have to be ready for a completely different environment, because what AI is doing and has been doing, and I think a few years ago, nobody could expect a tool like ChatGPT and that you are able to prepare a statement, or that they will be able to
even
pass
October
the bar.
Last year, I wasn't ready for this. So
even pass the bar in the US. So some of my fellow attorneys from the whole region, they were saying, no, that can never happen.
Yeah.
And now, well, it's here and it's happening. And I think that we need to be ready for it.
Definitely.
So it's never a dull day, if I can call it like this.
No, absolutely. It keeps us on our toes, and the competition is good from that perspective. But, just taking that a little bit further, Mihaela, what do you think about the main drivers of the future of work, particularly for business, but also the talent as well, the individuals that you are working with and matching? What are you seeing as the main things? I mean, you talked there about sort of generative AI and the increasing use of technology, but are there other things that are in play as well, which are disrupting the sector?
I think that this is a very tough question, because I think that depending on the industry, the geography, you can always look at it from a different point of view, right? So I will not claim that the answer is valid for all geographies or industries. I can only say from our experience and from the experience of our clients, right? What they are fighting with now.
Absolutely.
And I think that with the whole change around COVID and people working from home, then automatically every organization nowadays needs to be able with a flexible working environment, right?
Right.
So the standard 9 to 5 with clock in, clock out does not exist. So I think flexibility is a huge driver to the future of work, and also is a huge driver for us. So you can choose how to look at it, and you can choose how to react with it as an organization, but it's here and it's here to stay.
Yeah.
What I fight and what I see, we fight in our organization, and I think that a lot of the companies and clients are fighting with it as well, is that flexibility comes with responsibility, which basically means that we work for clients and we work on a deadline. So when we offer a flexible working environment, then we need to have people and talents that are able to understand the concept. And I'm afraid that from this point of view, the biggest struggle that we have is that at school, they don't teach you this, right? They, I don't even know what they teach lately at school, because we have, at least in our profession, there are less and less professionals, right? Everybody dreams to do something else lately, not to become a tax advisor or an economist or an attorney. So I think that this is a huge, huge risk. But with the flexibility, I think it gives us access to a different workforce. So I love the concept of being able to work from anywhere. And I love the concept of decentralized organizations. So a little bit more, outside of the hierarchy, and a little bit more outside of, I respect you because on your business card is written that you are managing director or boss of the world or whatever. But rather we focus on creating teams and environment where the respect is gained by the knowledge, and that knowledge can come from any country, sitting anywhere. We even have few colleagues literally working from a boat somewhere, as long as they have internet access, that works, right? But I think it comes with responsibility, and I think that this is a huge one. That we are fighting a lot with it. And then another one is that there is no structure, there is no legislation which is supporting it. So I would love to see what you will do, and I would love to see the conversations that are happening on a EU level, on a state level, and how do we change legislation to understand that? Because all the labor codes everywhere are made on a 9 to 5 kind of approach, even if each of them has a little bit of twist here and there, but not to support what has been going on lately. And I think it's just the beginning.
I agree with you, Mihaela. I think it's exactly where we are. We're really at the beginning of something now. And I think it's always the place that the legislative framework and the policy environment is always lagging behind. But I think the speed of change, and of course, turbocharged by the COVID-19 pandemic, has just brought these things into focus more and more. And I think it's glaringly obvious that the rules and the 9 to 5 arrangement, which the world of work has been built on since the decades, if not centuries, is now collapsing, and people are demanding different things. Corporations are demanding a different setup, and the decision makers really have a very difficult job, because they need to work with industry and the open talent community to be able to put in place the right rules and framework to allow the future of work to flourish, as opposed to create barriers which stop it developing. And certainly that's one of our jobs at the moment with the new legislation coming through, to make sure it's as broad and as open as possible to facilitate this change that is underway, because it's not going away. It's not going back in the bottle. It's here to stay, and it's just going to get quicker and quicker in terms of the speed of change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's creating also a huge risk for both sides, right? For both employees and employers, even though I don't believe in the term per se. And I think that will change as well. but there is still, you know, like a labor environment which is going on regardless of the location and regardless of the type of contract. And I think that the state and the authorities, they need to speak with the right actors to be able to understand and to create a safe environment for everybody. So, you know, that's on one side, on the legislative side of it. The other side is that we as organizations and also I think the schooling system and everything which starts to train the new generation, we need to start to train new skills.
Definitely.
Because what they teach now at school, it's not what will secure the future of work and the future of working individuals. And I think that this also comes from the next level on the Maslow pyramid, if you wish, like is that higher human needs, you know, of being able to deliver what you know. And I think it's easy for us to comprehend, but we have a lot of conversations with our colleagues. How can we train the new students? How can we train, because we have a lot of partnership and organizations also with universities and with other schooling programs. How can we train to be sure that people are ready and students are ready to enter the workspace, whatever that space is, right? And I think this is a very difficult one, and it will be here very difficult for the next 10 years.
I completely agree. And I think sort of the unfortunate teaching profession, very unionized, very reluctant to change. And then we see all across Europe, European figures, national figures saying between 60 and 70% of employers can't find the talent that they need on the marketplace. And I think this is really, really worrying. And I think that also the shift, as you were saying there, the shift away from roles and titles, much more to roles and the value that you can actually bring to the organization and to the organization, but also customers and partners as well. I think this is where the big change is going to come in the not just the future of work, but the present of work, because we're already here. This is what we're seeing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that it's not new. I mean, coming from what we have tried to do within the organization, I came across companies that were doing this even in the past. So Ricandro Summer has been a pioneer in this space for many years, and a lot of other companies. So I think that we will see, but it's very interesting time to be in.
It really is. And are you seeing amongst your customer base that companies and organizations are actually still struggling with this, instead of having the idea of a full 9-to-5 workforce, but having a mixture, a blended teams of a few permanent staff, a few consultants, a few contractors, a few freelancers, and how to actually make this all work together in terms of a corporate structure, but also, of course, the HR, the compliance, and even the sort of the leadership and management elements, which change when you have a blended workforce as opposed to a full contract workforce.
Absolutely, everybody is struggling with it. And I think that there is not one single organization that I have seen lately. I must think really hard to find one. I'm sure there is, and I'm sure there are a lot of them. But those that we are working with, everybody is struggling with it. Because there is an idea that, okay, but if people can work from anywhere, then automatically this is great because you have access to workforce everywhere around the world. And you have access to talent that you might not be able to find in a fixed location. And when you ask somebody for a 9-to-5 program in an office, however, with it comes different challenge. How do you do the training? How do you do onboarding? How do you support the taxation to keep those people compliant? And everybody is struggling with it, and they are trying to find the recipe. But I think that there is a lot of will to make it work. And I think a lot of people are trying really hard to learn new things, which I think it's absolutely amazing, and it's what will push us forward. But yeah, it's a very difficult time, and I've seen organizations also which are struggling with it because the structure that they have, the strategy that they have, it's very hierarchic. And automatically the workforce, they are still waiting to be told what to do.
Yeah.
And you know, it's tough, and that's why I say, for me, flexibility comes with a lot of responsibility, because many times people tend to choose the easy way, and that is, oh, I need a flexible working environment. But if that means I don't need to have any responsibility, I don't need to deliver the work, so then you need to start to train people in that space.
Yes.
It's extremely complex. I think that with the tools that you need to use, with onboarding process that you need to change constantly, with the technology that you need to have, and you need to provide, so, and also the soft skills around, right? The training. It's massive. It's really massive.
And even interaction with colleagues is different. You know, if it's a lot more
Yes.
remote, these kind of things, how do you make sure that everyone is aware of what's happening, on board with the structure, whether they're a full-time employee or a contractor? It's more demands on the leadership as well. Let's be honest about it. It's more complicated.
Absolutely. And I think that before, you know, the learning process was much easier. So imagine you and I, we sit in the same office, you have a call with a client. You don't need to train me how to have a call with the client, because I'm there. I listen what you are doing, what you are saying. I learn from it. That absolutely does not exist now in a online environment, right? So leaders, they have to be sure that there are more training sessions, that you have from time to time on site when possible, right?
Of course.
So I think it depends a lot on the type of business, on the type of role that you are employing the people. And for each of these teams, you need to provide something different that they can choose from, depending on the structure that they have. And you need to count a lot on having the right team leaders in place, because otherwise it can become very soon a chaotic environment where people will leave because they don't know what's going on. They don't feel the connection to the company anymore. They don't feel the connection to the people anymore, right? So we could speak about it forever, right?
well, we couldn't. It's constantly changing, but I really appreciate your time, Mihaela, because as always in life, every time we solve an issue, there's 10 more questions that pop up in its place. So that keeps us busy and active, but it is fascinating, and it's only going in one direction. And I think that is the positive thing. There are issues, but there's so many more opportunities than there've ever been before to be able to allow companies and individuals to be able to thrive in the future of work. And I really appreciate your insights and inputs from a very hands-on perspective, what you're seeing in the marketplace. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for asking all the questions. And I think that by having this conversation, we'll only be able to learn. And also we will be able to try to understand how to tackle it, because I think that at this moment, nobody has the recipe. And it's just a lot of experimentation till there will be some sort of settlement, if there will ever be some sort of settlement, right?
Let's see. Well, I'm sure you'll come back and update us on what's actually happening very soon, and really appreciate your time, and speak soon, Mihaela. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Have a great day.